Are you new to AI or AI in low code? Well, let me show you how easy it is to work with AI and OutSystems platform. Hello and welcome to the OutSystems YouTube channel. My name is Logan Brade. I'm a developer advocate here at OutSystems. Have you ever looked at AI tools and thought to yourself, wow, that looks awesome, but I have no idea how to build something like that? Well, this video is for you. Today, we're stepping into the world of low-code AI with OutSystems AI-driven platform, where you don't need to create your own custom models, deal with complex AI infrastructure, or need to understand complex algorithms to build amazing applications. In this tutorial, I'm gonna walk you through everything step by step so you can build your very first AI project from scratch. We'll keep it simple, we'll keep it beginner-friendly, and by the end, you'll be surprised by what you can create in just a few minutes with our AI tools. So whether you're completely new to AI or you just want to see how OutSystems does it, I'm going to show you in this video. So take a deep breath, get comfy, and let's start building our first low-code AI application together. Wait, before we start building, did you know that OutSystems One Global Conference is officially back for 2026? Well, it is, and this year we're taking it to Amsterdam. At our Global One Conference, you'll have the opportunity to learn about all the new features and functionality we're developing, learn from global experts about the latest trends in tech, and learn how to launch your own Agentic AI journey. So be sure to save the dates, June 2nd and 3rd, and join our community of customers and partners for the biggest Agentic AI conference ever. More details are coming soon and will be in the description below as they become available, so you don't want to miss this. Now, back to the project. So before we begin using AI and OutSystems, we actually have to get OutSystems platform. So we're going to go to our web browser here and go to outsystems.com. And then you're going to see a couple buttons at the top right-hand corner here, and then we're going to start free. Click on that, and then it's going to ask you to fill out your information on this form. So we're just going to fill it out. And then, of course, put in your email and create a password. And then also confirm that you're not a robot and agree to the terms of service. And then we're going to agree and start free. Once that's done, you'll actually have to go into your email address. You'll receive an email and you have to confirm your account. And once your account is confirmed, it's going to go ahead and ask you to sign into your account. And once the page loads, it's actually going to take you to your own personal edition. So you're going to see the screen here. And what we want to do is we want to start building. So we'll click on the button that says start building. And then OutSystems will actually start setting up your own personal environment that you'll be able to use to create your own applications. And it's going to ask you to log in again. So once you log in, then it'll actually bring you to ODC. And this is your own personal ODC environment where you can actually build your applications, configure them, deploy them. Now that you have your own personal environment with ODC, let's go ahead and start generating an application using AI. So you can see here we have a pop-up and it says, welcome to OutSystems. Do you want to generate an app with Mentor? And in this case, we do. So we're going to go ahead and click generate an app with Mentor. So what is Mentor? Mentor is basically OutSystems' generative AI tool that lets you generate full stack apps by inputting a simple prompt or even by uploading an entire requirements document. You can generate apps with it. You can use AI to iterate on those apps you've created with Mentor, and you can even use it to validate your code for best coding practices. So once you click on that button, you'll actually get into the Mentor app generation screen, and you'll see a pop-up here. It says, welcome to Mentor App Generator, and it kind of gives you all of the details of what Mentor does to build your application. So it basically takes your requirements and it builds data models, simple logic workflows, roles and permissions, and the different screens necessary. So you can walk through this and just see like what can happen and the changes you're gonna make, or you can make. And in this case, I'm gonna walk you through this so we don't really need to read this. But for this, we're gonna actually, instead of uploading a requirements document, I'm actually just gonna give it a simple prompt. So the app that I want to create is actually a product catalog for computer hardware. So I have this preset prompt here that I came up with, and it is going to be create a product catalog for computer hardware with an inventory management and the ability to create orders for products, because I want customers to be able to go to this computer hardware application or web store and be able to order parts online. So we're going to go ahead and click the arrow right next to it. And then Mentor is going to start trying to figure out all the different pieces it needs to build this application. So in this case, the data model, it's identified that we need a user. It knows that we're going to need products. that we want people to be able to order and also get the order item details. And for this, there's going to be one role, which is an admin. And mind you, this doesn't always create like the perfect one-to-one of what we need it to do, but we have the ability to update it down the line. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and generate the application. And now Mentor is going to go through all the steps that it needs to build this application. So it's crafting the different data models, it's building all the backend infrastructure that's needed to run this application, and also designing and creating all the screens that you'll be interacting with this application. And now this does take a few minutes, so I'm going to go make some coffee and I will be right back. Okay, so I am back from my coffee break, not quite. The app actually finished generating before I could even leave my desk and shut off all of my equipment. So this has been the most productive coffee break ever. But as you can see, our application has been created. So we have our dashboard here. We have the different products, the detail screen, the product edit screen. We have our orders and order detail screen, and an import data screen. So now what's really cool about this is that this isn't just like a visual representation of our app, but we can actually publish this application and use it right away. So I'm gonna go ahead and publish this application. And now this does take a few minutes to actually publish the application. So go ahead and enjoy the coffee you just made. And now our app is published. So we're gonna go ahead and click preview to see what our application looks like. Here we go. Now we're gonna get a login screen. So we're just gonna go ahead and log in as our admin. And mind you, you can also manage all the permissions for your application. I'm just doing this for simplicity's sake, but you can totally remove this if you want to. And now we can see all of the different aspects of our application. So we have a dashboard to see all the different orders, the total stock quantity. We can click on products, see what products are in the store. And as you can tell, our AI actually generated a whole bunch of products for us to be able to test out. And then we also have an order screen. Now, I do want to say, usually when you're trying to order products, you usually have to be able to see different reviews to see like if this is the product that you want. So I actually want to update my application so that we can see different product reviews. So I'm going to go back to Mentor, our generated app, and you can see here we have the different pieces of data that build our application. There's a little plus sign over here, so I'm going to click on that, and it asks, what would you like to add to your application? So in this case, I'm going to add product reviews, and then I'm just going to hit enter. And then what Mentor is going to do is it's going to try to figure out what I'm asking it to do. So in this case, it has product reviews, ratings to products. So in this case, I'm just going to go with the suggested product reviews. So we'll click on that. And then Mentor is actually going to start redefining and rebuilding our application with product reviews in mind. And within a few short minutes, it has now added a product review screen. So now that I've shown you how easy it is to generate an application using Mentor, let's start actually creating AI agents that our users can interact with. So here you can see we're still in our application that I've generated with Mentor, and I want to go into the products tab. And in the products tab, you'll see the collection of products that were generated by Mentor. We can actually click into these. So you can see that we have this Phoenix Blaze GPU. It has all the details that have been generated. One of the things that I see in here is a description. It says a high performance graphics card with GDDR6 memory and AI enhanced rendering capabilities. And it's a great description, right? But if I'm a user who's wanting to buy a product, I don't know if this necessarily invokes the feeling of like excitement with this product. So what I want to do is I actually want to use Agentic AI to maybe generate a description and let me interface with this agent to create the description. So in order to do this, we actually need to use ODC Studio to move on to the next section. So we're going to go back to our apps, and I already have ODC Studio downloaded, but if you don't, what you want to do is go to the top right-hand corner here. You'll see download ODC Studio, download it for your platform, and then you'll just go ahead and sign into your account. But to save time, I have already done that. So I'm going to go to ODC Studio. So here I am in ODC Studio, and you can see the computer hardware app that we had created using Mentor, but we're actually going to create a new application. And so for this, we're gonna go to the top right-hand corner, and we're gonna create an Agentic app. Click on that, and then we're gonna actually call this product agent. And then for this, it's going to have us choose an AI model. And so we're going to use the trial Claude 3 7 Sonnet AI model. So now you can see we have our agentic app here. So we can see that in our application, it starts up, it goes through the agent flow, it does a response, and then it ends. Well, we want to click into agent flow, and then you're going to see all of the steps that our agent works through whenever we're trying to prompt our agent. So you can see it gets grounding data, builds messages, calls the actual AI model, stores it, and then sends back a response. So the thing that we want to click into is the build messages. And in the build messages, this is how it like compiles what we're going to be sending to the AI model. And what we really want to focus on is this first step, the system message. And you can see in the system message, we have a couple different assignments that are here. We have like a system messages.role, we have like the content type, and then we have something that is the content text. And you can see here it says, you are a helpful assistant. So let's go ahead and click into the actual content text and let's update it. So we'll click on the dropdown of where it says you are a helpful assistant. You can see we have something called the expression editor. So we're going to click into that expression editor, and then we can see our text a little bit more clearly. Now, I've come up with the text that I want to relay to the AI model in advance. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste it, but it's a fairly interesting and easy prompt. So this is what it says. You are a helpful marketer. Your goal is to take the information provided to you and create a 1-paragraph description that is engaging and interesting. So that's all we're going to give it for now. So we're going to go ahead and close it. And then what we want to do is we want to publish our changes to the application so everything's safe. So we're going to go ahead and click publish. And now that it's published, you'll see that we have a test agent here. So I'm going to go ahead and test this agent out. And now you'll notice something that's a little bit different than our last workflow, right? When we actually created an application with Mentor, it generated our app for us. And in this case, it's kind of doing something a little bit similar, but it's different. It's asking if we want to create a test app. Now, agents by default don't come with like user interfaces. So all that work we did is, essentially it is working with the actual AI, like the Agentic AI app itself. And so in this case, if we want to test it, we actually need an interface to test it against. So I'm going to go ahead and create a test app that will allow me to interface with this agent. Here we go. And now our product agent test app has been created. So I'm going to go to the app, and now it opened up in another window. So let me go ahead and bring this window over so you guys can see it. Okay, so now you can see the interface of our product agent test app. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go back to my application here, and you can see we have the product detail of the GPU I was talking about previously. I'm going to take this description and I'm gonna copy and I'm gonna paste it into our agent and see what it comes back with. Here we go. So it has generated a description for us. Experience gaming like never before with this powerhouse graphics card featuring substantial 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory that delivers stunning visuals and seamless performance, even in the most demanding titles. So yeah, you get the point. It's now a lot more interesting than what it was when we started. But now you can see something here, right? Like we've created this test app and actually created like our agentic app, but it's not actually working within our product detail screen. So let's now take what we've created with this agentic app and move it into our product detail screen. And in order to do that, we need to go back to ODC Studio. Okay, so we're back in ODC Studio. We're gonna close out of our product agent test app. We're gonna close and discard changes. That's totally fine. And you can see our product agent and our product agent test app have now shown up as two apps in our app collection. So we're gonna go to our computer hardware app, click into this, and then you can see a collection of all the different screens that we have. So what we really want to change is the product edit screen. And this is where we're gonna have our actual description of our product. So we're gonna go ahead and go to our button over here, drag it over underneath the description. And in this case, we're gonna double click on it and let's change the name to generate description. Here we go. And then now what we need to do is we actually need to create the logic that's gonna reach out to our AI agent and then bring it back into the description. So we're gonna double click on our button Go to run server action, and we're going to drag that into our workflow. And now you're going to see we have a whole bunch of things that we can select from, but we're not going to select anything. We're actually going to do a new server action. And then we're going to change the name of this action to actually create a description. And then we're going to double click into our create description server action. And then what we need to do is we need to actually add some variables. So we're going to be submitting some data to our AI agent. And so we're going to go ahead and add an input parameter. So the first one we're going to call product name, because we want the AI to be able to refer to the product that we're generating the description for. And actually I'm going to use camel case because that's just what I'm more comfortable with. And then we're going to add another input variable, or input parameter, and we are going to call it current description. Here we go. So we now need to actually take that data and we need to actually connect it to our agent. So at the top part of the screen here, you'll see that we have a plug and it says add public elements. So we're going to click on that. And then we actually want to search for our product agent. Oh, here it is, call product agent. And we're going to go ahead and add that. And then for the product agent, we're actually going to drag that into our workflow. So you can see we have a couple of errors, particularly with product name and current description. And that's because we haven't actually used it in call product agent. So we're going to click on call product agent, and you can see we have our user input and our session ID. For the session ID, I'm just going to do the current date time. There we go. And then for our user input, what we want to do is we want to pass our product name and the current description, because that's what we're ultimately going to be sending to the AI agent. So I'm just going to put in name. We're going to do our product name. I'm going to do another plus there. And then, actually we're going to do a space. Description. And then we're going to do our current description. There we go. So we have name, product name, and then the description with the current description. So we'll go ahead and close that out. And then what's happening now is that we're passing everything through and it's going to generate the description, but it's not actually sending any information back. So we need to go to our create description action here, and then we need to add an output parameter. And this we're just going to call description. Now you can see we get that same error because we need to actually write to that output parameter. So just below call product agent, we're going to click right here. And then you can see ODC is recognizing what we're trying to do. We're going to set description to call product agent.response. And then that should write to our description. So we're good there. But as you can see, we're still getting some errors, and it's actually higher up in our workflow that we need to fix. So I'm going to show you kind of go back a little bit. So we're going to go to our interface. We're going to go to our product edit screen. You can see our generate description button. We go into the workflow, and our create description is what's causing the error. So we'll click here, and you can see that we have the input parameters for what we had for our agent are now showing up here because we need to pass it in. So we have our product name and we have the current description. So we'll click on product name. And the cool part is that it's recognizing that we're trying to pass the current product that we're talking about into the product name. So we're just going to pull it from our table here, which is get products by ID, .list, .current, .product, .name. And then the current description, same thing, but it's going to be the description. But now we need to actually get this to write back and show on our description interface. So under create description here, we're going to go ahead and click right here, and we're going to set variable. And we're going to do this by writing it directly to the product's description table that we're trying to write to. So get product by ID, the list, current, product, and then we're going to go to description, and then we're going to go ahead and select. There we go. And you can see we had another error, but in this case, it's because it doesn't know what we want it to write it to. So we have to tell ODC what we want it to write it to, or at least clarify, because as you click on this, you can see that ODC has actually figured out what we're trying to do, or it thinks it knows what we're trying to do, but it wants to make sure. So you can see here, we have our create description action and dot description, and we want to pass that into the actual table. And there you go. You can see that we are good to go. It's showing that we can publish. So let's publish it and make sure that it is functioning correctly. There you go. It is showing that it's published. So let's open it up in the browser. So here you can see we're back in our application. We have our dashboard, products, and orders. Let's click on products because that's where we made the change, the Phoenix Blaze GPU. And then we want to edit the details. And there's our generate description button. Let's go ahead and click on it and see if it comes back with what we need. It's thinking, there we go. So you can see that our description has updated and now it is a much more interesting markety type description. And let's go ahead and save it and make sure that it is saving correctly. There we go. And so now it's a much longer description. Let's just click out of this, go back to our dashboard, go to products, go to the Phoenix Blaze GPU, and you can see it's actually higher up on the table because we made the change and our change has saved. So it's pretty straightforward to actually add AI to our application that our users can interface with to create descriptions. But now I want to do something that might be a little bit more complex, maybe make my app a little bit more agentic. So I'm thinking that maybe I add an AI chat that will allow me to kick off a workflow. In order to do that though, we need to start with creating our actual user interface for our chat. So the way that we're going to do that is by going into our personal environment in the browser for ODC. So you can see here we have our applications, our computer hardware application. And the thing that we really care about to get our chat going is actually the Forge. So we're going to click on all assets in the Forge. And we are going to look for an AI chat pattern. And what's really nifty about the Forge is there's actually a lot of community created plugins in order that you could bring into your applications to make them like more interesting. And you don't have to do all the development effort. Somebody else has actually done it and makes development a lot easier. So you can see here we have AI chat patterns, and that's what we're going to install into our application. There we go, it's installed. And now let's go ahead and bring this into ODC Studio and start working on our application. Okay, so you can see that we're back in ODC Studio. Let's go ahead and go to the screen that we're gonna go and edit. It's gonna be our product screen, not the product edit screen. We're moving to higher up kind of in the flow, so on our product screen. And we want to now add that plugin to our project. So we're gonna go up to the plug here, and where it says all sources, we're gonna click on the drop down, and you can see right up top here, AI chat patterns. You can also type it in and you'll be able to pull it up that way as well. But we'll just click on that. And then what we want to add is this AI chat patterns design, which helps make the design work and function correctly. And then the actual floating chat itself. So we're gonna add those to our project. And now we need to actually update the theme of our application in order to use the chat. So we're gonna go underneath the elements here, we're gonna see themes, and we see our computer hardware catalog theme. And we wanna update this from OutSystems UI, and we actually wanna use the AI chat patterns base theme. And this is what will help our chat actually look correct. And then once we've updated the design, now we wanna actually add our floating chat to our interface. So we're gonna go and try to find our floating interface. There we go. There's our floating chat. And we're going to just drag this to the footer of this screen. There we go. And then that has been added. But now you can see that we have an error. So let's go ahead and clear out the error. And the way that we're going to do this is going into our product screen. And we want to, here we go. So we want to add a local variable, and we're going to call it chat messages. And we're gonna click on our floating chat, and we're gonna set this chat messages property, and we're gonna set it to chat messages. And that should clear that error. But now we need it to actually handle the messages that are gonna be going through on this chat. So we're gonna click on our handler, and we're gonna do a new client action on that first event handler. There we go. So it's gonna take us to our floating chat on send message action. We're gonna click on the plus sign here. And then what we need to do is actually do a list append. So we'll click list append. And then it's going to ask us for the actual list that we want to append to, and it's going to be our chat messages. Then we need to actually send a response from our system to the user. So we're going to right click on floating chat on send message, and then we're going to add a local variable, and we're just going to call it chat message because this is a singular message. And then we're going to assign that variable some data. So we're going to assign that. And then we're actually going to select a variable within chat message. So we're going to add a couple of things. So date time is actually going to be current date time. There it is. Ooh, closed out of that. The second one is going to be is user, and this is actually not a user. This is a system message. So we're going to set that to false. And then we're going to do one more assignment here, which is our chat message.content. And we're just going to write a generic message from our system and say like, hello user. There it is. There we go. And then we want to take what we've just written to with this chat message variable and then bring it back to our list. So we're going to call list append, and this will be a list append to. And then the list that we're going to write to is our chat messages. And then we want to write the individual message that was just written or that we just wrote data for back to our list. So there is that. Okay, but as you can see here, we are still getting an error. So let's go ahead and fix this error. I believe it's on the product screen because we should be getting, here it is. Okay. It's going to be on starting a new chat because with the chat, you can either, chat with this AI assistant or start a new chat. And so the new chat is actually what's showing the error right now. So we're going to do a new client action, but it's pretty much going to mirror what we just did. So the way we're going to do this is click on the plus sign, and then we want to do list clear. And then we want to select the list because when you're starting a new chat, you don't really need any of the old messages in there. So we're going to go ahead and just clear it all out. And then we need to actually add a new message that indicates that this is a new chat. So we're going to right click on floating chat on start new chat. We're going to add a local variable. We're going to call it the same thing as the other variable, which was chat message. And then we want to actually write to that variable. So we're going to set variable. We're going to look at chat message, and we're going to select that. And then we want to actually write the individual parameters of this variable. So we're going to do chat message, set variable. And let's go ahead and do date time again, which is going to be our current date time. Yep, that'll work. Current date time. The second variable parameter is going to be is user. This again is also false. Set that to false. And then second one or third one, content. And this is going to be hello, welcome to the chat. There we go. Okay, so now that we've assigned that the parameters of that variable, we need to do the same thing that we did with floating chat on send message, where we then append that message to our list. So we'll call list append, and the list that we're going to append to is our chat messages, and then we should be good. Let's go ahead and publish this, and we will test it out. Okay, so I'm back in my application. Let's go to products, and we should get our chat here at the bottom, which we do. So we're going to click on the chat, and let's see what happens when I write hello. There we go. So our AI assistant responded, and then let's test to see if our new chat is working. There we go. Click start on new chat, and it says, hello, welcome to the chat. So now that we know that our chat is working, let's go ahead and start making it a little smarter and being able to go through and do a workflow via the chat. So how am I going to make my AI assistant more agentic? Well, I actually want to turn this AI assistant into a shopping helper. So it's going to be able to pull the list of products, give me information about the products that I want to see. And then it's also going to be able to place an order when I pick a selected product through the chat. So the first thing that we need to do is that we actually need to make some tables publicly available for tweaks to this AI assistant. So we're going to go to the data tab here. And you can see we have a couple of different entities. And the ones that I want to make publicly available are category and product. So we're going to select both of those. And then you can see down here at the bottom, it says public, no right now. And we're going to switch this to yes. Now, I will say, usually with the entities, there's one particular entity that I would make public here too, and that would be the customer entity table, because we're going to have different customers using this. But in this case, I'm just going to use the system based users, which in this case is going to be our admin. So you might need to tweak your application if you want to do different users. In this case, I'm just going to use the admin to make it just easier. So now that we've made those entities public, we just need to actually create a service action that will be available in other applications. So we're going to go to our logic here, our logic tab, and we're going to go to service actions, and we're going to right click on it and click add service action. And this service action, we're going to call place order. And with place order, we're actually going to add two different input parameters. So we're going to have customer ID, and then we're also going to add product ID. And then we need to start working on our workflow that will actually create orders within this application. So we're going to click on the plus sign here, and we're going to search for create order. There we go, call create order. And then you're going to see it's going to have an error associated with it, but we're going to go to our properties here, and you can see next to source, we have a little plus sign. We're going to click on that to expand it out, and then we're going to start assigning it values. So for the user ID, it's going to be our customer ID. Our order date is going to be the current date time. And then for the status ID, we're just going to go ahead and set this to pending. And then the next thing we need to do is actually create the order item. So we're going to go to our workflow. We're going to click on here, and then we're going to add our create order item. Here we go. And then there's our order item. And then just like before, we're going to click on the plus sign, and then we're going to start assigning these values. And for this one, it's going to be our create order.id that was generated by create order. Our product ID is actually going to be our product ID. Product ID, there we go. Our quantity is going to be 1. And then for unit price and subtotal, so we actually need to get our products into this workflow. And so we're going to do that by going to our product ID here, our input parameter, and we're going to drag that into the top of the workflow. And you can see it automatically knows that we want to get from this entities table. So we're going to go back to create order item. Our unit price, it should show up with our get products. Yes, product price. And then our subtotal is going to be that same price. And we still have some errors here that we need to clear out. So we have total amount and shipping address. So we're just going to assign this to our price. So for shipping address, we're just going to put a default address into here. Ideally, this would be tied to an actual customer record, but we're just going to show this off as like a demo. There we go. And you can see that we've cleared our errors, and let's go ahead and publish this to save this so that we can start working on our actual shopping helper agent. There we go. And then we're just going to go back to our apps in ODC Studio. And now we're going to go to create, and we're going to create our new agentic shopping helper. We'll just go ahead and call it shopping helper. Continue. And then for AI models, we're going to use trial Claude 3, 7 Sonnet. We're going to create our agentic app. And just like before, you can see our demo workflow here, and we're going to start actually adding in some of the elements from our computer hardware application to get this to read the data that's there. So we're going to go to our plug, click on all sources, and then we want to look for our computer hardware catalog. And you can see we have our entities that we made available plus our service action. So we're going to add those to our app. So just like before, we're going to go into our agent flow, and we're going to go into our build messages, and we want to go into our system message. Now just like before where we had it be a helpful assistant, we now want it to be a helpful shopping assistant. So I've gone ahead and actually had ChatGPT develop the content text, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you what it is. Okay, so the prompt that I put into ChatGPT to help me develop the content text was, give me a good prompt for an agent that receives a list of products and will give information exclusively about those products. The agent can also place orders. So you can see here, it's actually developed the entire like product scope rules, how the agent should act. And I'm just gonna go ahead and copy all of this and put this into the content text. Okay, so we're gonna go to our content text here. We're gonna go to our expression editor. I'm gonna clear out this helpful assistant message, and we're just gonna paste in what we got from ChatGPT. So we're gonna go ahead and close that. So now that we've defined the content text, we now need to give our agent the data that it needs to be able to communicate our shopping preferences. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna go ahead and go to get grounding data. And you can see this is our grounding data workflow. So we want to be able to pull in the data from our computer hardware catalog. And you can see here, we have our entities that we made available. So we're gonna go to our product entities and we're gonna drag that in because we want a list of our products. And then we wanna click into this. You can see that we have the ability to add multiple sources to this. And what I really wanna do is I wanna have products that have categories attached to them. So we're gonna add a source and we're gonna add category, click select, and now you can see that we have products only with categories attached to help with our like data aggregate of all the data we want to be able to search. So with that, you can see we have a little message here. It says, we're sorry, but there was a problem obtaining preview data, and that's because we need to publish. So we're gonna go ahead and publish. And with that published, now you can see we have all of our sample data here with the categories attached. Now we need to get this new data aggregate into our grounding data. And the way that we're gonna do that is go back to our grounding data workflow. So you can see that we still have an error here with our get products entity table into our grounding data. And that's because we need to actually serialize it. So we're gonna drag this JSON serialize in between our get products and our grounding data. And we're gonna define that the data is our get products.list. And then for our grounding data here, we need to actually take that JSON object and get it into the grounding data. So we're gonna click on this and we're just gonna do the suggestion from ODC, which is JSON serialize one.json, click on that. And now our get products list is getting into our grounding data. Now our agent should be able to get our products list and be able to communicate with us about the products that are in our entities table. But in order for the shopping helper to work and be able to place the order, we need to now actually go through a workflow to have it place the order. So we're gonna go to our logic tab and we're gonna click on server actions, right click on server actions, add a new server action, and we're gonna create a new server action that is that's called place product order. I can actually spell. And then we need to add 2 input parameters to the server action. And it's gonna be our customer ID that we defined earlier on, another one, product ID that we also defined earlier on. And then we're gonna click on the plus sign of the place product order workflow, and we're gonna have it actually place order, called place order, that we defined in our computer hardware catalog. So now that we've defined the server action, the problem is that our AI doesn't actually know that it's available for use. So we're gonna go into our agent here, go into our agent flow. We're gonna go into the model, which is the call trial Claude 3 7 Sonnet. And then we wanna be able to make this server action available and make it so that the model knows that it's here. So we're gonna click on add action, and then we're gonna look for place product order. And we're gonna double click on that. And now you can see that we have a description, customer ID, and product ID. Okay, so now what you wanna do for this, for place product order in our actual AI model, is we wanted to find a really good description. And this is vital for our AI to be able to actually place the order. And the reason is if you don't give a good description, the AI won't necessarily know what to do. So make sure that you are explicit in what you're having it do. So for this description, I'm gonna put this action allows you to place an order for a customer. There we go. And then for our customer ID, we actually don't want this generated by AI. As you can see, it says it's generated by AI. So we actually want to click into our call trial Claude 3 7 Sonnet agent here. And then we want to add an input parameter, and it's going to be our customer ID that we're just carrying through the rest of this application. So we're going to change customer ID, change it to customer ID, define what this is for our AI. So this ID of the customer. And then for product ID, we're going to have that generated by AI, but then we're going to define the description as well. And of course, this is the ID of the product the customer wants to buy. Okay, so you can see we have an error here. So let's start working through these errors and clearing them up. Here we go. So for this one, for our actual AI model, you can see we have customer ID here. We need to just start carrying it through. So for our agent flow, we're going to add an input parameter, and it's going to be our customer ID. And then we're going to click back into our AI model. And then it's going to be our customer ID, which it should actually recognize. Yep, there's our suggestion. And then it popped up with another error. Here we go, our call shopping helper, which for this one, we're going to add our customer ID as well. Click on our agent flow, and then that's going to be our customer ID as well. There we go. And it looks like we've cleared out the errors. So let's go ahead and publish this and then go back to our computer hardware catalog to start bringing it into our shopping helper into the application. Okay, now that that's published, we're going to go back to computer hardware catalog, and we are going to start working on our chat again. So we're going to go back to our interface. We're going to go to our floating chat on send message, and you can see we still have our original workflow from what we did before, but now we want to call in our shopping helper. So we're going to click on the plug. We're going to search for our shopping helper. There we go. There's our shopping helper. And then you can see our AI agent call shopping helper, and we're going to add it. There we go. That's imported. And now we want to drag this in, and we're going to drag it in between our list append and our assignment here. And once that's dragged in, you can see we have a couple errors here that we need to clear out. So for user input, we're going to do our message.content. For our customer ID, this is actually going to be get user ID. There we go. So we're going to close that out. And then we also need to put in a session ID, which we don't have session defined yet. So we're going to go back to our products, right click on products. We're going to add an actual local variable, and this local variable is going to be called session. And then we're going to set the default value of session to current date time. There we go. And then we're going to go back to our logic, go back to our shopping helper, back to our interface, go to floating chat on send message. And then we're going to click on call shopping helper and then define the session ID as session. And now that that's complete, we need to actually change our assignment here. So we're going to go to our chat message.content, and this is actually going to be our call shopping helper.response. There we go. And with that complete, we should be able to publish our application, and let's test it out. Okay, I'm back in my application. We're going to go to products. We're going to go to our chat, and let's see what motherboards are available. There we go. And you can see we have our list of motherboards that are being pulled from our product entities list and then going through our AI model and then being presented to us. So we have our Aegis Pro motherboard, our Falcon B5550 motherboard, and our Titanium Z490 motherboard. So let's see if I can ask it more questions about our motherboard. So let's see, maybe let's ask what about or let's do it this way. Tell me more about the titanium motherboard. There we go. And it gives us our full detailed description about the titanium Z490 motherboard. Wow, it's got a pretty good description there. Now let's say I want to buy the titanium motherboard. There we go. Your order for the Titanium Z490 motherboard has been successfully placed. So let's go to our orders and just make sure that it has gone through. Or actually, no, we set the status to pending. So let's look at our pending orders. And there we go. 10th of January, Matthew Shelton for $220 at 123 Terrace Drive. So our order went through successfully. And that's how you get started with OutSystems and AI and OutSystems. If this was your first time working with AI, don't worry. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Every expert you see started right here, learning the basics, experimenting, and figuring things out one step at a time. In the next video, we'll go deeper, using real tools, building simple projects, and showing you how AI can actually save you time and unlock new ideas, even if you're just starting out. If this video helped you out, let us know. Drop us a comment below and tell us what you want to see or build with AI, or what's still confusing. We read every comment and it helps shape the next videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.